Welcome to the DisabiliTEA, a podcast where we have candid discussions about all things related to disability. Short-term, long-term, financial claims, impact on other areas of life, causes in the workplace, and more. With your host, Attorney Anjel Burgess. You can find this show at www.disabilityhelpline.com and on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. Now here's the host of the DisabiliTEA, Anjel Burgess.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the DisabiliTEA. We are pleased to have with us today a special guest, Attorney Danielle Bess of the South Atlanta Injury Attorneys law firm. Welcome.
Hi, Angel. Thank you for inviting me today.
Absolutely. We are so excited to have you and have you talk with us about some of your areas of expertise, as well as answer so many questions that I have for you today. So again, thank you for joining us. Well, I'd like to start off with you just telling us a little bit about yourself and your law firm.
Well, my law firm is physically based in Jonesboro, Georgia, Clayton County, but we handle cases all over Georgia. So our focus is personal injury and veterans disability. So we handle claims involving car accidents, but also nursing home abuse and neglect claims. So that is a major focus of ours. And I have been practicing law, it feels like, for a very long time, for about 30 plus years, a little over 30 years. And my focus, almost my entire, the entire 30 years, has dealt with disability discrimination cases. I did a lot of employment law early in my career. And now helping people who have been injured due to no fault of their own.
Excellent. So I'd like to take some time today while I have you and talk about the areas of practice that you mentioned, because I always get a lot of questions and those are not my areas of expertise. So glad to have you here. Starting with the personal injury side of things. What are some of the more common cases or common scenarios where people can, know that, oh, I need to contact an attorney to help me with this from a personal injury standpoint?
So we handle a lot of car accidents, and car accidents are probably the most common type of personal injury claim that people are familiar with. And in some instances, people can handle these on their own. So if you have been in a car accident and you don't have any injuries, or you may be shooken up the first day and the next day you're fine, then that's something you can resolve on your own.
Okay.
We tend to help people who have been injured and they are concerned that they are not going to be treated fairly by the other party's insurance company. So we will step in and assist them through the entire process. And some of the issues can deal with what insurance is available. Sometimes people will tell on the scene, say they have insurance, they may not. Sometimes the insurance company will try to deny coverage. So, when those type of issues come up, we certainly are able to assist people. But also personal injury could be lots of other types of things, such as falling in a store or on a public premises, or being subject to some type of criminal assault at an apartment complex. And like I said, nursing home abuse and neglect. So it could be a lot of different things.
So is the key with personal injury and kind of like the key word for someone who may be watching or listening, does it involve an injury to the individual, no matter whether it's from a car accident, a fall, an assault, but that person needs to have suffered an injury before they need to reach out to you. Is that correct?
That is certainly one of the critical elements. So first of all, somebody else had a duty to do something. So when we're driving, the other drivers on the road have a duty to drive in a safe way so that they don't cause any type of injury to somebody else. So they have a duty, they fail to follow their duty. And then because they failed, you were injured in some way. So if your feelings were hurt, unfortunately, we can't pursue a claim. But if you were physically injured, then yes, we can pursue a claim and assist you.
Okay. Now, what if there was an injury, but let's just use the example for a car accident. What if the person that was injured was the one that had the duty and didn't, follow through with their duty, and they were at fault? Can they still pursue a personal injury claim?
No. So if you are at fault, you caused the collision or whatever the event may have been, you would not be able to pursue a claim against someone else. But in those cases, you should check your injury insurance coverage to see if you have any type of insurance that might cover your injuries. So in most cases, if it's your fault, you're not going to have anything that covers your personal injuries, but you would be able to cover your property damage.
Okay. All right. And since this is the disability, one of the scenarios that I see often with my clients that have been involved in, car accidents or, other types of scenarios where they were not at fault and they were injured, when they move on to their disability claim, depending on the type of claim that they have, if they've worked, they've paid into the system, getting a settlement from a personal injury claim isn't going to impact their disability claim. However, if I have a client that's applied for SSI, which is the income and asset sensitive program, getting a settlement from a personal injury claim can make them ineligible for benefits. So as a personal injury attorney, do you work with your clients to, structure the settlements in ways that will allow them to maintain their eligibility for, let's say, SSI?
So that is a very good point, and really a crucial issue if you are receiving the type of coverage, SSI coverage, that's asset sensitive. And what we do, because we're not experts in that area, we work with other professionals who are, so people who can set up special needs trusts, who can do the analysis. Because for some people, what I found is that it really depends on the amount. Mm-hmm. So if it's a large amount of money, if it's, several $1 million, then it may not be worth the person staying with the SSI, whether it's Medicare or Medicaid system is, more likely Medicaid. It might be worthwhile for them to opt out and get their own insurance, their medical insurance. If it's not a large amount, then they really have to do an analysis with the professional to determine how best to receive the money.
Okay.
So we work with lots of great professionals in this area, because we want to make sure our clients are going to be well served, and whatever recovery they have, it's not going to interfere with whatever other services and benefits they're receiving.
Excellent. So for anyone that is watching or listening, if you have a personal injury claim, even if it's ongoing, right? So you may not have received any money and settled yet, but you have a personal injury claim, and you know that you've also filed for disability or are already receiving disability, it's important to let your personal injury attorney know about the disability claim, even if you haven't been approved yet, so that they can, do what they need to do in terms of working with professionals to make sure that your interest is protected, that your, potential disability claim, if you're not receiving it yet, is also protected. So that's a great critical point, is make sure to communicate with your personal injury attorney about any disability claim.
Yes, absolutely. And we do ask the question before we file a lawsuit: have you ever filed for disability?
Okay.
Do you have a claim pending? Do you plan to file? So, but sometimes it falls through the cracks.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Well, that is great information to have. I want to switch gears just a little bit and talk about the nursing home abuse and neglect area of your practice. So can you tell us a little bit more about how that comes into play and how someone may be alerted to the fact that, oh, I need to contact an attorney for this purpose?
Yes. So our nursing home practice, we usually are approached by family members who discover that something has happened to their loved one who's in either a skilled nursing facility and sometimes an assisted living facility. It could even be hospice, but usually a family member will discover something. So for anyone who has a family member who's in any type of skilled nursing facility, they are the first line of protection.
Okay.
And we see all types of injuries. One of the most common is pressure sores. So pressure wounds are wounds that develop when a person is not being rotated, they're not being moved. It's really a red flag for neglect. So when we see a pressure sore injury, our first question is, what was the staffing level like? Why was this not prevented? And you'll hear a lot of nursing homes say, well, if the person, depending on the condition, is not preventable. That's absolutely not true. Pressure sores, they are something that's preventable. So we see those type of injuries. We see falls. Falls is a category of injury that can be deadly for someone who's older, because they are just not able to bounce back from those type of injuries. We see malnutrition, dehydration. We see nursing homes giving residents medicine to keep them sedated. So there's unfortunately, there's a long list of the type of neglect and abuse issues that we see. So, but it's usually a family member who discovers it.
So that's a great point to make for our viewers and listeners is, as family members, if you have a loved one in a facility, you are their kind of eyes and ears, so to speak. And so if you see something that is not right, if they don't appear to be, taken care of as they should, then you would definitely want to explore options with an attorney. Reach out to Danielle at her firm and talk with them about any departure from maybe the standard of care that's expected in such a situation. So that is definitely great information to know. And as we have all these baby boomers, right, that are aging, we're seeing nursing homes and facilities popping up everywhere. So I can only imagine some of the things that you may see, which is unfortunate, but it is great to know that you all also specialize in that area. Yes. Is there anything else that you would want a family member, since they're typically the ones to notice, to know about a potential claim for nursing home neglect or abuse?
If you suspect something, you need to be vocal. You mentioned, if you see something, say something. That really should be your motto. If you see something, say something. Say something to the staff. There are also state agencies that you can report concerns to. And those state agencies, it may take them a while to complete an investigation, but they will complete an investigation. And also be very careful when choosing a facility. You want to look at the reviews. You want to see what other people are saying. You want to, when you visit, have an opportunity to not just see the staged areas that they want you to see, but you want to see how the residents are being treated during their eating time. So the most important thing is to be alert to what's going on. And don't be afraid to contact a nursing home abuse attorney if you suspect something. Our consultations are absolutely free. We're happy to talk to people about what they are observing and what their loved one is experiencing.
Excellent. Excellent. That's really great information. So I know that we are running a little short on time. So I want to move on to the next area that I want to talk with you about, which is veterans' disability claims. So one of the things that I see in my practice of Social Security disability, I have a lot of clients who are veterans and who are also going through with the Veterans Administration a similar-ish, but very different process trying to get their disability benefits. So can you explain what you do with your veterans disability practice and how someone would know that they need to reach out to you?
And I have heard, I don't practice Social Security, but I have heard that it is a long process.
Yes.
The VA process is probably equally as long, if not longer. So we help veterans who have already applied for benefits and have been denied. So
Okay.
the step is for the veteran to apply. And it's a non-adversarial process. So the VA is supposed to assist the veteran every step of the way in applying for benefits. But a lot of veterans will tell you that's not their experience, but
Right.
that is the process. But once a veteran has been denied, we can then take a look at what the initial request was and what the basis for the denial was. And we can tell you if we're going to be able to assist. In a majority of the cases, we find the denial is due to service connection. And that means the VA is saying we can't determine that your current disability was related to your service in the VA. And so you have to make that connection. And sometimes the only way you can make that connection is with a medical professional. So a medical professional will have to review the documents and have to provide you with an opinion linking your service to your current disability. But we find that sometimes veterans will pursue claims that are not necessarily the best claims. And we'll look at the file and we'll say, well, maybe if we frame the issue this way,
Okay.
you'll have a better chance of having your claim approved. So, our process is to review the past documents. We get a copy of everything that they have submitted to the VA, everything the VA has done in the past in reviewing the claim, just to see how we can assist. And if we can assist them, we tell them. If we can't, unfortunately, we will tell them that also. But we do represent veterans on a contingency fee basis, so there's no out-of-pocket expenses related to the veteran.
Okay. And so you mentioned that the veteran would apply, get denied, and then come to you. What about scenarios where there has been an award of disability benefits, but it's not at the level that the veteran feels like it should be? So, let's say they got 10% or and they're looking for 100%.
Yeah.
Can they also reach out to you to try to get an increase?
Absolutely. So increases are something that we work on often also, because we will see often that the VA will sometimes award at the lowest level. But when we look at what the veteran is saying their condition is, and we look at the statute, the level should be significantly higher. Another area is where the VA awards benefits, but it's not for the entire period their claim has been pending. So the effective date of the award greatly affects the amount of monetary damages, or I say damages, but whatever the veteran is going to receive, because the VA bases the back award on when your claim was filed and the effective date of your claim. So sometimes it seems as though the VA is trying to avoid having to pay the back payments by saying, we're going to say your injury started January 1st, 2024, although your claim has been pending since 2014.
Wow.
And our veterans will say, well, my condition has not changed. In fact, it's gotten worse. So how can you say it's effective, in 2024 when it's been pending since 2014?
Okay, well, that makes sense. So there are a number of different scenarios then where it would be beneficial for a veteran to reach out to an attorney such as yourself for a consultation, to figure out, okay, am I going about things the right way? Or are there additional opportunities for me in terms of back pay, in terms of, an increase to further strengthen any claim that I have?
Yes, absolutely. So there are, numerous ways that we can assist once we have reviewed the documents. And what we're looking for is there a path that will get the veteran benefits? Because being awarded benefits has such a huge impact on a veteran's quality of life. They now will have access to health care that they may not have had access to. Their family members, if they're married, their dependent spouse will now have access to benefits also. If they pass away and they have a certain percentage of disability and they pass away related to that disability, their spouse can now continue to receive benefits. So there are a lot of benefits, reasons why a veteran would want to pursue getting benefits.
Okay. And as far as the veterans' disability claims are concerned, you mentioned that they tend to be long, even longer than Social Security. So what would be a reasonable expectation in terms of time? Are we talking years?
Well, we are talking years.
Okay.
So it is not a fast process. So there were some changes made in the past few years. The process is not as slow as it used to be, but unfortunately, we still have claims that have been pending for several years that have not yet been decided.
Okay.
So we tell our veterans, you must be patient. And sometimes people think, well, if I come to a lawyer, you're going to make sure I'm going to get a hearing faster.
Faster,
So
right.
unfortunately, it does not work that way with the VA. There are some very limited categories where we can get your claim heard sooner, such as age, or if you have a serious illness, homelessness. But even in those situations, we're talking, shaving off months.
Okay.
It's not as though they immediately hear the claim. And the VA publishes their statistics for how long it takes to process claims. And they are somewhat generous in what they tell you. But you just know you may want to double or triple what they say the processing time is.
Okay. So as we wrap things up in terms of, discussion about practice areas, I want to circle back around and kind of highlight any tips or any last minute questions about each of your practice areas. Going back to personal injury. With personal injury claims, is there a cost for consultation or to hire an attorney in those claims?
So we work on a contingency fee basis. So that means we do not receive any compensation for our services until we're able to recover on behalf of the client.
Okay.
So it does not cost you anything to call us for a free evaluation, because we don't charge for the initial consultation, and it is contingency fee.
Okay, excellent. So you're losing nothing by calling for a consult and just, laying out the scenario to an attorney. Costs you nothing to do it. So that's wonderful. With personal injury, one of the questions that I meant to ask you was, I hear a lot of people talking about, well, I was in an accident, but there were some issues with my case because of pre-existing injuries. So I wanted to ask you about that. What is a pre-existing injury, and what, if any, impact does it have on a personal injury claim?
So it can have a huge impact because the insurance company, usually the defense insurance company, often seek to assign your injury to something else, not the collision that occurred, not the fall that occurred that may be their fault, but they want to assign it to something else. And so we like to know up front, do you have any pre-existing injuries so that we can address those things at the very beginning? And right now we have a client who is a veteran who has a disability rating for his back, and he was involved in a collision, a rear end collision. And so what we're looking for is, how did it change your condition? We know you already had this condition because it's very well documented. How did this collision change things? Did you need injections before the collision? No, but after the collision, you needed injections. Were you taking pain meds on a consistent basis before? No, but now you're taking pain meds. Are you missing time from work? Were you missing time from work before? No, but now you're missing time from work. So all of those things we look for so that we can paint the picture to the insurance company that although there was a pre-existing condition, it has changed, it has worsened, because of this collision.
Okay, well that makes sense. So that's good to know, because I know sometimes people will kind of talk themselves out of and say, well, I'm sure that, even though I was injured, it wasn't my fault. I'm sure that I won't be able to, pursue a claim because I had back surgery 10 years ago.
Right.
So what I'm hearing from you is not necessarily. What you want to do is still consult with an attorney, let the attorney make the decision and recommendation about whether this is still a claim that you can pursue.
Absolutely. So do not assume that because of your prior condition, you cannot pursue a claim. If that is your situation, you should definitely speak with a legal professional before you decide not to pursue your claim.
Excellent. And moving to the nursing home neglect and abuse, I believe you've already stated that free consultation for those, and you also work on contingency basis?
We do.
Okay.
We do. Yes.
All right. And then the same is true for the veterans disability.
That is true. So
Okay.
all of those areas of law, you can call us and we're not going to charge you.
All right. Well, I don't think it gets any better than that. Oftentimes getting legal representation, the barrier is cost, having the money to pay for an attorney. But if you find yourself in any of those scenarios, or having a loved one that any of those scenarios, in terms of personal injury, any sort of injury that's occurred, that it's not their fault, or nursing home, if you have a loved one in a nursing home and you feel that they are being abused or neglected, or if you're a veteran or have a loved one that's a veteran that has sustained some service connected injuries or conditions, it costs you absolutely nothing to reach out to an attorney and have them assess the facts and determine whether or not you have a viable case.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Danielle, thank you so much for talking with us today. Are there any parting thoughts or tips that you would like to share with the audience?
I appreciate you having me here today. And my parting tip for the audience would be, if something happens to you, if you're injured in some way, don't. Sometimes initially adrenaline makes you feel like, oh, I'm fine. But listen to your body. Don't hesitate to see a medical professional. And don't just assume, well, I just got to suck it up. It's nothing I can do about it. Talk to someone to see if there is something that can be done about it.
All right. Well, that is a great tip. How can people contact you for a consultation?
So the easiest way to contact us is by giving us a call at 470-WIN, WIN 4U. So that's WIN 4YOU.
I like that. Easy to remember.
Easy to remember. 470-WIN 4U. So that's the easiest way. But you can also go to our website, South Atlanta Injury Lawyers.com, and you can fill out a form there. And we can respond to your form. So, whether it's via the website or calling us directly, we will get back to you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Attorney Danielle Bess. And just a reminder, she is in Georgia. She is servicing clients all over the state. So please do not hesitate to contact her office with any questions. This has been another episode of the DisabiliTEA, and we look forward to talking with you next time. Take care, everyone.
You've been listening to the DisabiliTEA with Anjel Burgess. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, and sharing the show with others. You can catch prior episodes at www.disabilityhelpline.com and on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more.